Ah, what a nice, relaxing day on the open ocean. Look at this 65 degrees, beautiful view. And of course, I want to talk to you guys today about the situation involving DC and its fans and asking the honest question, where the hell are they? Because they're not showing up in theaters. They're not making themselves known in regards to anything outside of anonymous Twitter accounts for the most part, which leads me to the title of this video. Bots can't buy movie tickets. And that really is something that we really need to discuss in regards to where DC is going as not only a company, but as a fandom. I think over the course of the past couple of years, it's shown us that, quite frankly, the only real character that anyone gives an absolute crap about is Batman. And it's not to say that the other characters don't have their fan base or don't have their love, but we've seen flop after flop after flop of unfortunate events in regards to DC and its movies. I mean, for example, go back to 2011's Green Lantern. DC's first attempt at a spin-off movie in between their Batman trilogy, and it was a commercial and colossal failure. So much so that Ryan Reynolds has made a career almost just bashing on it. So then DC said, screw it, let's do it again. This time we're going to try Man of Steel. We're going to bring that back with Christopher Nolan producing, coming 1 year after the finale of the Dark Knight trilogy, which, did well, but was still like the weakest of the trilogy. They're going to bring in visionary director Zack Snyder and writer-producer David Goyer to crank out this new take on Superman. And it did well. It did well for the time. It built a fan base. And then Warner Brothers absolutely squandered that fan base by rushing into Batman v Superman because they wanted to catch up with Marvel. And we all know this is old hat news for anyone who's followed this channel or just internet discourse in general. But one of the things we can definitely tell when it comes to DC films is that people really only show up for one thing, and that's Batman. That's been a consistent moneymaker. That's what's lived on. I mean, Superman didn't have any movies from 1989 until 2006, right? Or was it 87? Either way, the late 80s to 2006. But Batman had 3 films in the 90s and a kick-ass animated series. Yeah, Superman had Superman and Lois in the 90s, but that's largely soured because, Dean Cain sucks as a human. But when we think about where things are now, right, we have to look at this from a merchandise sales point as well. The top 2 merch sellers are Batman and Harley Quinn, which is why the Harley Quinn show is in season 4, potentially going into season 5, and the Batman is making a lot of money, and people are more excited for the Batman than they are for, let's say, Superman Legacy. Now, why are they upset at Superman Legacy? Well, it's not that they don't want to see it, but Cavill fans don't want to support James Gunn for some reason, and the average film goer is not showing up at the box office for anything. Shazam, The Flash, even with 2 Batmans. Blue Beetle is now one that's considered to not be doing as well, probably because of the fact that they don't know where the character stands in the ongoing future of anything. When we really think about this last year in regards to DC, it can largely be summarized, in my opinion, to the fact that the announcement of the new DCU slate back in January was done at the behest of David Zaslav in order to appease shareholders. The shareholders wanted more information. They wanted a reason to keep investing into WBD, and David Zaslav needs to find a way to keep making money. This is just the reality. So he has James Gunn come out and announce this first chapter, which is not beginning until 2024 with Creature Commandos. And even then, the new movie doesn't come out until 2025. But if you want to poll actual moviegoers about what they're probably more excited for in 2025, it's not going to be Superman Legacy. It's going to be The Batman. And that is James Gunn's biggest problem. He inherited a massive mess that he now has to fix. Maybe, just maybe, the best course of action would be to not do Superman Legacy for 2025, but instead move The Batman either up to sometime in 2024 if they're able to get past the strike, which, look, that's not something that's going to happen, let's be fair, or move The Batman 2 back to, let's say, 2027. And then in 2025, you do Batman Brave and the Bold. You launch the DCU with Batman. You don't launch it with Superman because they tried launching the DCEU with Superman, and then they immediately brought in Batman, and it is what it is. That's why I think where we're at with this situation is one that people need to take a cold, hard look at. Superman is not a relatable character. He's really not. A lot of people like Batman because of the trauma bond that is, an orphan who decides to fight back against injustice. There is a motivation there that people can relate to, people identify with. When you have a creature that's as powerful as a god, and you want to treat him as this Boy Scout type character, that is just not relatable to where we find ourselves in our society, not at this point in time. And this isn't about bringing back hope or anything along those lines. I think you can have a character do that, but that character is going to have to be a character that comes and plays second fiddle. That's got to be a supporting character to help change the main character's trauma, which in this case would be Batman. Superman is not, yeah, sure, Superman is like, let's say, the most recognizable symbol in the world, but it's clearly not the most popular in regards to financial returns on merchandise, on movies, on television, and gaming. There's a reason why they haven't done a Superman game. Because how do you make someone who's invulnerable vulnerable in a way that's going to be relatable to the general audience? Now, obviously, Superman's humanity is going to be the key reason for that, so there's no point to put that in the comment section. I know what you guys are trying to say, but I'm talking about this from the perspective of someone who understands storytelling, who understands where we find ourselves right now with major mainstream catch-all entertainment for quadrant storytelling, and what the general audience seems to be into. It seems like Superman needs to go back in Kryptonite, or back in the ice really, for a number of more years, and that will be better for the character. And to help get the DCU off the ground would be to have it led by Batman, featuring Superman, and then build out the Justice League, and then go from there. Having the Man of Steel lead the charge is not the right course of action, and I have a feeling that while there will be high curiosity for Superman Legacy, it may not have the impact that it wants to have, simply because it doesn't have the backing of our general society in any way, shape, or form for that kind of popularity. Now listen, this is a hot take, and many of you out there are going to agree or, well, disagree, but those are just my takes on it. I'm going to go back to enjoying my vacation. I might vlog a little bit later. Let me know any topics you want me to cover. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one, and peace out.